Under Justin Trudeau's reign, there was moves to electrify the automobile industry in Canada, which included mandates on what you'll be allowed to drive in the future. Now that we have a Carney government with a new cabinet, well, are things going to be the same? Yes, and probably more expensive. Ladies and gents, welcome back. This happens to be my forte. As you may know, I am an automotive mechanic by trade. I do this every day. I shoot these videos before I go to work, and then I go pull wrenches and work in that trade. Now, what is this going to do to what I do? Well, it's going to make my job more lucrative, let's just say. Let's get into that. But before we do, let's talk about the cabinet. Yes, everybody's talking about the cabinet. I'm going to go over this very briefly. Carney's cabinet of Trudeau failures. This is what that's. I mean, what else is there to say? It's largely the same people. We still have Chrystia Freeland, but instead of being the deputy prime minister and instead of being in charge of finance in this country, she's going to be in charge of transport. Yeah, that's right. Chrystia Freeland, who claims she doesn't own a vehicle, who was also caught recklessly speeding in a rental, anyways, has been named the transport minister. Great. And our environment and climate change minister, which the name changed in 2015 to environment and climate change instead of just environmental minister, our mental minister is now in charge of Canadian culture and identity. If we even had one, apparently, according to Justin Trudeau. But I digress. He's still around, so he's still going to have a lot of say in a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about today in the rest of this video. Now, let's get into this because the automotive industry is going to go through a whole lot of changes in the next little bit. And I'm not talking about tariffs. That's another story altogether. Canada's electric vehicle strategy has failed, and there are lessons to be learned, reports the Globe and Mail in this article. It's a fantastic publication here. But yeah, they're basically pointing out that it's largely been a failure, giving away taxpayer dollars to foreign companies to bring in foreign workers in the hopes that we'll make batteries and whatnot in Canada has led to large economic failures, including the fact that Canada had put tariffs on Chinese battery companies, which in turn led to China putting tariffs on canola and some other products. So things that are benefiting Ontario are largely detrimental to the West, as usual. I mean, this is just par for the course at this point, but I digress. We must face the uncomfortable truth. Canada's automotive EV manufacturing strategy, touted as generation's opportunity to drive economic growth, jobs, and environmental leadership, has failed quickly and dramatically. The federal and Quebec governments made a bad $4.6 billion with a B dollar bet on Northvolt, a Swedish EV battery manufacturer, which has entered bankruptcy in less than 2 years since. Great. So we'll never get that back. $7 billion investment announcement. The $270 million invest by Quebec in Northvolt's parent company in Sweden is now lost, confirmed by the provincial government in March. This is, and this doesn't include also what we gave to Volkswagen, all these other, and it's all listed in this. Now, the article goes on to say, but won't these foreign firms pay Canadian taxes? Foreign EV firms such as Volkswagen and Stellantis are exempt from paying taxes on the financing that they receive from Canadian taxpayers. Isn't that fantastic? Meanwhile, Canadian firms continue to pay taxes and aren't receiving the same subsidies, so they are effectively punished for being Canadian and small. Is it any wonder that Canadian companies such as Electrovaya are incentivized to grow in the U.S. instead of here? We have companies like Edison Motors that are doing their best to, innovate the industry, and they're again also being punished But with these new rules that are coming into effect, I don't know how they'll manage at all, because they still will be using internal combustion engines over at Edison Motors. With these new rules, this is going to get very ridiculous. And we'll get into some of these rules here. Canada's electric vehicle availability standard sounds like, wow, we're making things available to people. That's not what this legislation does at all. If it sounds happy and sounds smart, it's usually not what it is. No, it's very different. This is a mandate. This is a mandate from the federal government to say what you can and cannot drive. It's a slow burn into that. Well, it may not be that slow. Let's talk about this. The electric vehicle availability standard. It's a mandate on what vehicles will be allowed to be sold in Canada. The targets begin from 2026 model year, with a requirement that at least 20% of new light-duty vehicles offered for sale in that year be ZEVs, zero-emission vehicles. Can they make bicycles and get away with that? Nope, that won't be allowed. It has to be actual cars, trucks, and SUVs, that kind of thing. The requirements increase annually to 60% by 2030 and 100% by 2035. They actually have, this is the target in graph form of the percentages that will be every single year changing. And here's the year numbers, right? So 2026, 20% of vehicles will have to be electric. 2027, there'll be 23%. 2028, 34%. This is, seriously, starts next year. Next year is not very far away. It is... It is only months away. We're 7 months away from this being the thing. 6 months, almost 6 months. And 20%. What does that actually mean? Well, it means quotas. It means quotas. So the companies are going to have a quota. The amount of EVs sold by that business in Canada, they'll only be allowed to sell another 80% on top of that 20%. So if they don't sell a lot of EVs, they will be it would be forbidden for them to sell anything with an internal combustion engine above a certain number. So these are quotas, and the quotas get smaller and smaller and smaller for the internal combustion engine vehicles as the years go on. And that will include hybrids. So if you're thinking, oh, don't worry, Clyde, I'm going to get into a hybrid, that's fine. That's not a zero emission vehicle. It has to be a plug-in electric car. Or I don't know, if you've got a flux capacitor or something, new technology that doesn't exist. Let me know in the comments down below. But this is where we're at now. Of course, this is a situation that is untenable, because a lot of people are going to be stuck. Now, the reason why I say that this may be a benefit to people like me who work in the automotive industry, well, there's going to be a lot more people fixing old cars. But at the same time, old car prices are going to go through the roof. This is artificial, but it is the way things work. I mean, pretty soon, I'm not exaggerating, it may be like Cuba. At a certain point, the embargo hit Cuba from the United States, so they couldn't get any new automobiles. So they basically just had to fix all their old vehicles. Now you got, pristine, 50s looking cars, but they're held together with duct tape and bubble gum. That's really what's going on there. Now let's get into a story here. Ryan Williams posting this. Do you support Mark Carney's AV mandate? By 2035, you won't be allowed to buy a gas or a hybrid vehicle. No, again, not a hybrid, nothing. Anything with an internal combustion engine is out the window. If it takes petrol, you're not having it. No matter the cost, the lack of chargers, or if it works for your family. The government knows best. Their knows best plan will rise costs, kill choice, and risk blackouts. Not to mention, leave people stranded. We all saw what happened to EVs in the prairies just last year and the year before. A lot of people are switching out their EVs for internal combustion engine cars once again, because when it gets cold, these things do not work. Let's get into this story here.
The federal government has unveiled its roadmap to phase out the sale of gas and diesel passenger vehicles. After 2035, you won't be able to buy new ones anymore. The regulations will require automakers to sell 20% zero-emission cars by 2026, 60% by 2030, and 100% by 2035. As Abigail Beeman reports, it is a big shift, and some are concerned about affordability and a shortage of electricity.
All new cars, no emissions by 2035.
To ensure we don't get left behind and that we keep driving towards the opportunities being created.
And more people are driving electric. According to Statistics Canada, in the third quarter of this year, the percentage of electric vehicles registered jumped to 12.1. British Columbia and Quebec drive the most, already meeting the 2026 goal of 20%.
There are real challenges to electrification, including affordability and charging infrastructure.
The auto industry
I just want to interrupt that just to show that graph here. So 20% is the best you're going to get in British Columbia and Quebec, where everyone is like trying their best to get into electric cars. And that's the best you're going to get. Now, when they mandate it, I'm telling you, 23%, that's what we're going to be at 2027. And then it's going to jump up in short order. It's not going to take very long before we get to an untenable situation. 2028, 34%. We will not be able to hit that. Even British Columbia, like I said, where they want to get into electric cars, and it's feasible because it's moderate weather, not up north, down in the lower mainland. It's feasible. You don't have that many people getting into electric cars. The infrastructure just isn't there. And we're starting to see charging stations being clogged up. It's a real reality of the situation. But let's get back into this clip.
20%.
There are real challenges to electrification, including affordability and charging infrastructure.
The auto industry questions how realistic the plan is, with so far to go on infrastructure and cost and uncertainty around available and affordable electricity.
Charging at home is a challenge for a lot of people that live in multifamily settings.
The government suggests it's working on all of it with a ramp up of charging infrastructure and claims EVs will have price parity with traditional cars within a decade. Currently, there's still a large upfront cost difference, and not everyone is ready to plug in.
And I don't completely trust them yet.
I could be okay with that, like if I can afford it.
I like my car. I'm good.
Canada's Electric Vehicle Society calls the announcement a step in the right direction, and while acknowledging the same concerns, believes industry, private sector, and government need to work together for a fix.
These rural highways where there isn't infrastructure, there's grid issues, capacity issues, and just cost issues, right? Like, you know, running cables to the side of a highway in the middle of nowhere is expensive.
Yes, running cables to the side of, we're seeing lots of problems. We've seen this all across Canada, but this is the reality of the situation. We honestly thought that we were going to get a conservative government, and that's what most people thought. We were going to get a conservative government. They were going to walk all this stuff back. Now, Mark Carney does not look like he's going to walk any of this stuff back. I'd be surprised if he does. If you just read his book, I mean, his book lays out what his thoughts are on this whole thing, and they're moving us down this road, the road to serfdom. I hate to say it, but this is exactly the direction that we're going with this. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. Make sure, again, you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure that notification bell is rung and hit the like. All these lovely things. If you want to pick up a shirt like this, link in the description down below, as well as the coffee. So get on over there, do that. I'd love to hear what you think about these electric vehicles. Let's get a discussion started, because I'm in the industry and I'd love to continue this one. Perhaps I'll bring some guests on the show to discuss it further. Leave a comment. We'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.